So I've already talked about a couple games, but right now I want to take a step back and talk about 5 of my massive takeaways, some things I'm looking at in the grand scheme of things, in the bigger picture, and I want to start off with the Miami Dolphins. First off, you scored 70 points. You almost broke the record. You could have tied the record, but just being able to do that in the modern NFL, and it's not like you're playing a slouch of a defense. You're playing the Denver Broncos, who have some questions, and we're going to talk about them in this video as well, but when I'm looking at how Mike McDaniel has transitioned. He's in the second year and how he's working with Tua Tagovailoa, how this offense is flowing. And I said it from the jump. As long as Tua can stay healthy, I have this team slated to finish first in the AFC East. Now, this was in my preseason preview. This was post-Rodgers injury. And this was really when the Buffalo Bills, I had some questions and some things I wanted to figure out with that team as well. Now, Buffalo Bills are looking pretty good, but I think the Miami Dolphins are looking even better. And you're going to see it in my power rankings tomorrow. I have the Miami Dolphins separating themselves, and now they're in a tier of their own. This is a team, we just have to look at their sample size of what they've done in these first 3 weeks, and it's nobody can compare to it. I think that's the first thing we have to say, but also adding to that fact, Tyreek Hill, 9 catches, 157 yards. Robbie Chosen, when the starters went out the game, he came in the game, and this was in the fourth quarter. He caught a pass for a touchdown, 70-yard bomb. This was when they had 62 points, and I said, there's no way they're going to continue to score. Then you go put up 70. So, unrealistic stats, video game-like numbers. We see Raheem Mostert, he got a touchdown in the air, 7 catches, 60 yards. Devon Achane with 2 touchdowns in the air, but the run game. And when I talk about the Miami Dolphins, the question that a lot of people have is when they get in those weather games, when it's late December and you got to go to Buffalo in a playoff game or even a divisional game and it's snowing there, can this offense with the high-powered Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, Raheem, with all of those guys, can the high-powered offense come into a game where it's snowing, where it's heavy rain, and still produce like that? And I think the way they ran the football with that offensive line, that's something you may be able to lean on when we talk about playoff football. So that was kind of my only question I even had with this team. Will it be able to translate into late playoff football, late regular season football? But if they're going to run the ball and put up 350 rushing yards, it can translate anywhere. Playoffs, regular season, snow, hail, it could do it all if it's going to go like that. And then getting into my next massive takeaway that I have, because that was just dominant. We talk about the offensive output and the defense is just as good. Only gave up 20 points. So you look at all of that. I mean, we could go Jalen Phillips, Javon Holland at the safety position, David Long, he came over from Tennessee. Jalen Ramsey is still coming back to this team. So we have some things to note for the Miami Dolphins. Things are looking very good. They're in a tier of their own. But the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton, and I find it kind of awkward. Because the way that you called out Nathaniel Hackett, when Nathaniel Hackett said nothing to you at all. Now, I respect Sean Payton, and I look at his body of work when he was with the New Orleans Saints and when he had Drew Brees and those dominant defenses and that team that won a Super Bowl. I'm looking at that. I don't know if I can take that and look at Sean Payton now and say that his job is secure right now. I think we have to understand it because it's still early. It's only week 3. But you're not doing a good job right now. I'm looking at how the team is playing. First off, we can take it back to last week against the Washington Commanders. When you have that lead, 20-3, and you lose a football game like that in horrendous fashion, ugly fashion, start to turn over the ball, the momentum goes dead, the team looks like they're not lively on the sidelines, everything shifted in that game. Emmanuel Forbes got the pick, Sam Howell balled out in that game. So now we're back here and we go against the Miami Dolphins. Where are the adjustments? Vance Joseph, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinators. People have to be called out in this room. And like I say, you never want to call for anyone's job. That's not what we're doing here. But we got to understand some things. What is going on in this room? Because you lost week 1. Okay. You lost week 2. What are we doing here? And now you lose week 3 in a fashion like this. You lose by 50 points. And you talk about Nathaniel Hackett. You said last year it was one of the worst coaching jobs. In no point in time last year did Nathaniel Hackett and the Denver Broncos with Russell Wilson and all of the guys lose by 50 points. So as much as I love Sean Payton, I have to call it how I see it. I have to call it how it is. That has to be cleaned up. Regardless, and he said this was a rough week going into it, coming out of week 3. How are we going to watch film and prepare for week 4? Because we have to flush it. We can't dwell on the loss. He said it's going to be a rough week. And that was really my thought of mine, my thought of thinking, because how do you go in the film room? How do you go in the locker room and talk with your guys, talk with the players? What do you say to them? The players have some accountability to take, but the coaches also have some accountability to take. What do we say to a guy or the entire team who was responsible for a 50-point loss? That's something they're going to have to figure out. And I want to see how they bounce back, because the loss, it happened, is done with. How do you bounce back, though? It's your first year here. You just talked about Nathaniel Hackett, the worst coaching job and everything that you talked about. You came off TV, came with the New Orleans Saints, stepped away a little bit, went on TV as an analyst. Now you're back in the game. And it seemed like you're in for a rude awakening. So hopefully the Denver Broncos can shake back. I think they have a talented roster, but right now we're just not seeing it. Now getting into the next thing, though, another game we have, the Buffalo Bills. I'm very happy and confident with the Buffalo Bills, because just for talking about what I saw in week 1, you lose to the New York Jets when Aaron Rodgers goes down. You have some of those things happening. And I'm wondering, Josh Allen with the 3 interceptions. I mean, he literally gifted Jordan Whitehead his contract incentive. He gave him that, signed it on the dotted line for him. So now you come out of that and you say, okay, we're going in week 2. We're playing the Las Vegas Raiders. I want to see you win handily. Check. They did it. We're going in week 3. A very good Commanders team. I think they have a very good roster as well. Did not expect Sam Howell to play like he did, but it happened. So you go in there. You win that one handily. When I expected it to be a tight-knit ball game. Check. I'm seeing a team who's still number 2 in that division, because I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, for a couple of years now, Leslie Frazier stepping away. You have some of the other things going on. Brian Dable going to the New York Giants. Sean McDermott has been the constant theme for that team. And I'm starting to give him the benefit of the doubt, because he's been able to hold it together and they're still performing. Offensively, Stephon Diggs got involved. No throwing helmets, no throwing temper tantrums. And then defensively, Matt Milano, Gregory Rousseau, AJ Epinesa. Let's talk about the guys who actually got interceptions in this game. They had AJ Epinesa, he got the pick 6. Tre'Davious White got him an interception. Micah Hyde got one, and then Terrell Bernard. So these guys having a great game. They got after the quarterback with the sacks. I like what I'm seeing from this team, and I feel confident once again the Buffalo Bills are here to stay. Now, they play the team we just talked about first in the Miami Dolphins, so I want to see that game. I'm going to hold all thoughts for, playoff time and everything else. I want to see how the Miami Dolphins go in here against a red-hot defense who just had 3 exceptional weeks. They played great in the game against the Jets, even though they lost. So they're going against a red-hot defense. Can Mike McDaniel scheme it up and win that one? Let me know down below in the comments. And getting into the next one, though. We've been hyped up. We've been talking about it a lot. And now it gets kind of sad. Because the Chicago Bears. It's a massive takeaway for me, because I wanted to see how you respond in a game against the Kansas City Chiefs where you have all of these things going on. Justin Fields says he's playing robotic. And then he said that he's just going to go out here and do less thinking, more playing. Play football how he knows best. And that wasn't good either. So we're looking at everything that happened. I want to see Justin Fields perform. I want to see him succeed. I want to see Matt Eberflus succeed. He's a first-time head coach. A lot of people are calling for his job. I don't know if that's necessary, but this is a team in a market. It's the NFL, not for long. So if you're not succeeding, you won't be here long. So we have to look at that with a Matt Eberflus. And then I'm looking at Luke Getsy. And Luke Getsy, I think that we're talking about Matt Eberflus a lot, but when are we going to talk about Luke Getsy? We got to talk about some of this as well. So just another poor offensive performance, looking methodical, not getting anything going. Justin Fields didn't have 100 yards passing, 11 for 22 with touchdown and an interception, had 47 yards on the ground. So I guess that's getting back to more of what he likes to do, scrambling the football, design quarterback runs. Luke Getsy adding that in there. But I mean, DJ Moore, I like DJ Moore. And then I look at Darnell Mooney. I look at the Chase Claypools. It's just not anything right now. So I want to see how do they come out of this, because I thought this would be a statement. Even if you lose against the Kansas City Chiefs, I think you come out there and play them tough, play physical, play hard, and still put up a good fight for Justin Fields' offense and the defense. Did not see that. So I have some big time questions. That's my takeaway, that I think that it is time to seriously start considering options outside of what's going on now. That's the quarterback, that's the head coach, offensive coordinators, everything that you have now. And I don't want to look directly at Ryan Poles, but a lot of the additions, I like the trade with DJ Moore, but we're looking at CJ Stroud, how he's playing right now. And that's going to take me into my next point, because like I said, I think it's time to start considering some moves, personnel-wise, player-wise, front office-wise for the Chicago Bears, because it's just not working. As much as we want it to, as much as we like the team, it's just not working. And CJ Stroud, though, Like I said, that was a guy who potentially, if they don't trade the pick, they could have had. And with the Houston Texans, let's talk about it, because their tight end in Brevin Jordan, he said the best thing we did was win that game last year against the Indianapolis Colts, because Bryce Young went number 1, and I think Bryce is going to be throwing the ball. I think he's going to be very good. Even though right now the offense, they still have some things to work on with Frank Reich, Thomas Brown. Let's give him some time. But CJ Stroud is coming out guns blazing. And we talked about CJ Stroud. Can he improvise? Can he elevate talent? We're seeing him do it all. In Tank Dell, I dropped a video on Tank Dell, and a lot of people said, hold off a little bit. But I'm seeing some things with Tank Dell, and I saw him in college, and I just don't see an average small receiver. He had 5 catches for 145 yards, a long of 68 yards, and 7 targets, and a touchdown. So I'm looking at that and the weapons he has. Nico Collins is playing very good football. You still got Robert Woods, a savvy veteran, Brevin Jordan, a solid tight end, John Mechie. His story is amazing. So they have all of that working in Houston, and you got the guy in the head coach, DeMeco Ryans. He's going to put a defense around CJ Stroud. So as they continue to build, CJ Stroud has over 900 yards in his first 3 NFL starts. That puts him in a conversation with Cam Newton, Justin Herbert, and there's another quarterback that was on that list that I can't name right now, but I'm looking at all of that and I'm saying, number 2, he's been number 2 for a long time. I mean, we were thinking about Bryce Young. We were thinking about Anthony Richardson. We were thinking about Will Levis even. But CJ Stroud was consistently 2. And that has to mess with him. That has to burn in your mind and motivate him. And seeing how he's playing football, he's accurate. He's not an extreme athlete. He's not the most fluid athlete, but he can improvise enough. And seeing what he's doing, he's not a statue in the pocket. He's able to throw on the run, do some of those different things. And the accuracy, I keep coming back to the accuracy and pointing at it, because he can really drop a key in a bucket. That's the type of quarterback you have in CJ. So I think right now he's kind of the fan favorite, probably the favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Hopefully it continues. You get a good win against a Jacksonville team who's struggling a little bit, has some really high expectations and still do for Jacksonville. But in the first 3 games, it hasn't been what I thought it would be based off last year, what I'm seeing right now. But like I said, these are my 5 massive takeaways. To reiterate, I think the Buffalo Bills are proving to me that they are here to stay. And I want to see what they do against the Kansas City, Cincinnati. And they're playing Miami this week. So we're going to see, are they the real deal very early. Coming in number 2, the Miami Dolphins are in a tier of their own. Until the Buffalo Bills can knock them off of that tier, or any team in the NFL, I think that the San Francisco 49ers have looked very good, but they're not looking like the Dolphins. They're not looking like the Dolphins. So I just want to give the Dolphins their credit, really talk about them in a glowing manner, because they deserve it. And then outside of that, Sean Payton, Chicago Bears, 2 teams that are really struggling right now. Some things that I talk about. And then the last one, though, is we just talked about CJ Stroud as that guy. What do you think about these takeaways? Do you agree with these takeaways? Maybe I should hold off a bit. Or do you think that you have some other takeaways that may be bigger than what I talked about in today's video? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. As always, that's going to do it for today's show. And now, we out.